Hey guys, this is Brent with Western Equipment, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to remove the deck, change the blades, and then reinstall the deck on the John Deere E120. So let's get started. So before we start, let's go over tools and things we're going to need to perform this job. First of all, guys, break out that operator manual, as you are going to want to look at the specs for the blade torque. It's important that we get those blades torqued down to spec so we don't have any issues, since those are rotating at very fast speeds. We don't want them coming loose and having an accident, so make sure to break that out and check those specs. Now, we're talking about torque, so what we've got here is we've got a torque wrench, and we've got our 24mm socket on the torque wrench. We've also got a breakover bar here. It's going to make taking those blades off easy, also with that 24mm socket. Then we've got a pair of pliers here that we're going to use for those different clips and things underneath when we're taking off the deck. And we've got a block of wood here to wedge in the deck so those blades won't spin while we're trying to take them off and reinstall them. And then, of course, we've got our set of new blades here. Now, the E120 has a 42-inch deck, so you're just going to have the two blades there. So just make sure we've got all these things lined out before we start this job. And now from here, guys, we'll go ahead and get underneath the tractor and start taking that deck off. All right, guys, so first step is going to involve two different things. First is going to be going ahead and getting our mower deck lowered all the way down as far as we can here on our height adjustment. And then the second part is going to be getting this cable loose. Now, this cable is what actually tightens our tensioner here to make sure and pull that belt tight so that we can engage those blades. So we've got to take this loose so we don't have any tension over there. So what we're going to do here is pull this pin out and then just pull back on this cable and lift it up and out of the bracket. Step two is also going to be dealing with our tensioner here. So we're going to remove this spring here by simply pulling it off of the rod underneath and taking it loose. And then we're actually going to pull up on this rod and remove it as well to get it out of our way. Step three is going to be getting the belt loose from our front pulley here. Now, as you see, there's a J-hook on both sides that this belt runs in. So we've got to take it loose from both sides. So just reach over, get that out of your first one, then out of your second one until that belt just falls loose, just like that. Now that we've got that belt loose, step four is going to be removing our big spring here. Now you've got to sort of bend back on it and then slide it up and out of the idler arm here, just like so. Step five here is going to be another two-part step, as we have these hanging arms on both sides. So we're starting here on the left-hand side where we've done everything else, but we're going to remove these first by removing our clip, and then also making sure that we get our washer. And then same thing back here. We're going to want to remove our first pin. And getting our washer as well. And then we can take loose our front hanging arm here, just like so. And then on the rear, so we'll take it loose, and then it'll actually come out of its bracket here on the deck. So just make sure that you don't lose that. And now we'll move to the other side and do the second part. All right, so in continuance of step five, like I said, here on the right-hand side of the mower, we have these same two hanging linkages here. So we're going to simply take those loose, first by pulling our pin, and once again making sure that we get that washer. And then same thing here at the rear, pulling that pin, getting that washer, and then removing our back linkage here. And step six here, our last step to making this deck completely free from underneath the tractor, is going to be removing this pin. This is where these pliers are going to come in handy. And just like that, remember to grab that washer. And then slide that arm out. And right there, you should be completely removed from the underneath of the tractor. All right, so now that we have the deck completely taken loose from underneath, we can start to pull the deck out. All right, and once we're here, guys, you know, a good practice is to go ahead and inspect everything while it's out and it's open where you can see everything. Go ahead and check that belt. Make sure that those pulleys are all spinning like they should. Just make sure everything looks good. If you're real dirty on top, let's go ahead and clean this off. Get everything cleaned up good before we do that blade change. And then from here, we'll go ahead and find a sturdy spot over on the side and then start to change these blades. Once you've gotten that deck off and you've found that sturdy spot to lean it up against, now we can start doing our blade change. Just remember, guys, 24mm socket on here. And like I said, I always suggest getting this block of wood that we can place in here and wedge it in to make taking these blades off easy. So I'm just gonna start here, putting my breakover bar on, breaking these loose. All right, take our nut off and our washer here. Now these blades are splined and they do have a little bit of a curvature to them. So you just want to make sure that when you're taking the old ones off, going back on with your new blade, that you're making sure that curvature, that curved side is facing down, or whenever it's up like this, it's facing out towards you. And then just go ahead and put that new blade on, line those splines up. We're gonna go back on with our washer. Now this washer is also cupped just a little bit. So a little bit of a concave to it. You're gonna wanna make sure that it's going back on the way you took it off, so it's putting the right amount of pressure on that blade. And we can go back on here with our nut. Just get it on there as hand tight as you can. And then we're gonna go on with our torque wrench. Now, we talked about blade torque a little bit to start. These blades do need to be torqued down to 65 foot-pounds. So I've got the torque wrench set here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start tightening down. Before I do that though, you do wanna move your block of wood here to the other side. And we'll just start to go back on here. Just gonna go until we get tight and until we feel that click, or hear that click rather. Right there. All right, guys, so that is how we change the blades. Now I'll just go ahead and speed it up here and do the other side. All right, that's all there is to it. Now we'll take the deck back to the tractor and start reinstalling it. All right, so we'll go ahead and get the deck positioned back underneath the tractor here. Just try to get it lined up as well as you can. And then our next step is going to be reinstalling our front pin here. Just go back in there. We'll go back on here with our washer. And then back on with our keeper pin here. All right, so next thing, we're gonna go back on with our hanging linkages over here on the right-hand side. Now we're gonna have to do just a little bit of wiggling and adjusting getting things lined up. You may have to pick up just a touch on the deck to get things lined up where they need to be. Now when we're going back on with our rear linkage here, you might want to start with this one. It's a little easier to handle, but you're going to want to make sure that you get this loop piece facing towards the back. So now that we've got that facing towards the back, we're just going to raise up a little bit here on the deck and get that set in place. And that ought to make getting our front linkage just a little easier to get put back on, just like that. And then we'll go back on here with our washer and our pin here at the rear. And then we'll do the same here on our front, just like so. And like that. All right, now we'll move back to the other side and get the left side put back on. On the left side, once again, we'll go ahead and start with this rear linkage. And like I said, on the other side, just make sure and get that loop spun around to the back side. May have to raise up just a touch on the deck there. And then we can line up our front linkage here, kind of pull that cable out of the way there, and then put that on. And we'll go back on with our washer and back on with our back washer. We'll put in our back pin. Front pin. All right, next we're gonna go back on with our belt here. Just remember, we've got to work that down in to the J-hooks on both sides. Just like that on one side, and just like that on the other. All right, next we're gonna go back on with our big spring. We've got a little slot right back here behind this pulley. We've just got to get it hooked in there, just like so. And then while we're here, we'll also go back on with our rod. Now it's important to remember that this rod has to run underneath our belt, and then when we come up with it, it's just going to drop down in to that back slot. And then we have that spring that we're going to hook on the bottom side of that rod, and then just pull it tight and drop that back hook down into this one hole here on the deck. And our last step to reinstalling the deck is just going to be getting our tensioner cable here set back in its bracket. So we're just going to pull and drop the actual cable portion here down into the bracket, and then have the catch go through the bracket there. And then we just have to go back on with our keeper pin here to hold that in place. And that's it. All right, guys, so that is the step-by-step instructions for removing the deck, changing the blades, and then reinstalling the deck on the John Deere E120. Now, if you think that I left anything out, you have any other questions or comments, make sure to leave those in the comments section below so I can check those out and get back to you. Also, guys, if you're needing any of these parts, maybe you're watching this because you're ready to change the blades on that mower, I'm going to put a link also in the description below where you can go check out those parts, or you can go check us out at west-equip.com/parts. And guys, when you're doing that, if you're making that order, trying to get those parts, you have any questions at all, I'm also going to put a phone number in the description below where you can reach me directly, either by phone call or by text. So make sure and check that out. And guys, if this video helped you out, if you like this video, it'd help us out a ton if you'd give this video a like and also give us a subscribe. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and go buy your parts at west-equip.com/parts.